This is Whole Nother Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
Frank Mazzei.
Did they win the offseason in free agency? Yes. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Eric Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go.
That's bad.
Here we go now. 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 Here we go.
And welcome to another edition of Whole Nother Level. I am back in the building, y'all. Just want to let y'all know E-Dub is back in the building. Welcome. Thank you. I got my own applause. I'll clap for myself. Thank you. I'm back. Anyhow, alongside the sports expert that is my main man, Dwayne Lindo, the one and only, who I haven't seen in about 2 weeks, Craig Cousin, and joining us from the sports arena, the great L. Bushman. Heard you had a great show last night out First Friday, Cold Lakewood Ranch. How was that?
It was good, other than the fact it was blazing hot. It was good. It was a good show.
Yeah, well, you know, these things happen in Florida in the month of July.
And we took glamour shots last night for our website.
Ooh, yeah. Anyhow, we do this each and every Saturday from 1 to 3 Eastern on STLRmedia.com. Man, what's up, Craig? I ain't seen you in 2 weeks, bro. You was in Chi-Town 1 week, then I was in Chi-Town the following week. We just barely flew and missed each other. What's going on?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a pretty hectic week for me, but I'm happy to be here with you guys talking about some sports. Hoping the Celtics can land Al Horford today and be the first piece of the puzzle to fall in Boston, because if they miss out on him, I'm pretty sure Kevin Durant's not coming. And then we pretty much the whole thing just went dry at that point because everybody's just signing everywhere. So we'll see.
Right.
Well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we will definitely get into that. Dwayne, how you been, man? What's up?
Doing okay, man. Seems like the gang's all here. You know, and kind of piggybacking on what Craig said, it seems like Kevin Durant, that's kind of like the story of the week. Where's Kevin Durant going?
And that's what we're going to get into. But, I mean, I want to ask you, Dwayne, how are you feeling right now? You got Derrick Rose.
Yes.
And
I was just going to mention that.
And you just got Joakim Noah.
Yes. You know, it's funny because 3 weeks ago, nothing was going on. 3-4 weeks ago, Knicks had nothing going on. All of a sudden, we're pretty much playoff bound. I mean, with Porzingis, coupled off with Rose, and Joakim Noah.
Right.
I mean, and there was actually talks of Durant, who we just mentioned 2 seconds ago, possibly coming to New York. I don't know if that's going to happen, but, I mean, could you imagine?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I will say that all of a sudden Dwayne Wade has been in conversations because the Heat are only offering him $10 million, and obviously he's seeing everybody else like – name I can't even pronounce, never even seen the dude before, getting 10, 12, 14 million. D Wade's like, dude, I'm at least getting 20 somewhere. So
listen, Hassan Whiteside got what, 4 years, 98, something like that to stay.
Max.
He got to stay in Miami. So D Wade's like, hold up, you paying this guy how much? And what am I getting? I mean, listen, Dwayne Wade has been a Miami Heat lifer, so I mean, we have to ask that question right off rip. Where is Dwayne Wade going to go?
He's going to Milwaukee.
What?
Fear the deer.
Milwaukee.
Well, that's where, you know, he went to Marquette product.
Dwayne, I just love the fact that New York keeps going after broken down old players.
Look, it can't be any worse than what it is now. So, I mean, I don't care who you get. I mean, as long as they have a proven record, they might be 90 years old. They have a proven record. Hell, I don't care.
Yeah, but D Rose doesn't have a proven record. Has he been healthy?
His proven record is I've got 2 bum knees and my name's Mr. Glass. That's what my proven record is.
Well, look, I mean, can I ask this question?
Sure.
Could it be any worse for the Knicks than it was last year?
No, it can't.
No, it cannot.
He's an upgrade over Jose Calderon.
Right.
Let's be honest for a second. D Rose, yeah, he's had his injury concerns, but I think like when it's all said and done, this season is a prove-it season for D Rose. Even though he signed a contract with him, Melo has only made it out of the first round a couple of times, if maybe even once. You know, you have Joakim Noah there now. He has a lot to prove coming off a lackluster year in his standards. And then Porzingis is going to be in his second year. He played lights out last year. So I think, I also expect him to bring in another person or two. I think that their starting 5, maybe 6-man coming off the bench is going to be pretty solid, especially in the East. Let's be honest. You don't have to be a powerhouse team to make the playoffs in the East. But it's about staying healthy for that
Right.
team.
Absolutely.
As much as I don't like the Knicks, it's actually pretty good. I mean, this is a low risk reward for the Knicks. I mean, you got D Rose. You could probably get maybe 17 points a game from him, but either way, it's a low risk because this guy, he's good when he's good. Now, if his legs hold up, he's going to be pretty good for the team. I like it because it's low risk when it comes to this.
Right, and you got to understand, too, if all these players, with the players that the New York Knicks have now, if all these players can gel, again, I think you have a playoff caliber team here. All right. In my opinion.
Just as long as Phil Jackson takes over as head coach, I think they'll be okay.
But to answer your question, Eric, D. Wade, I mean, yeah, right now they say Milwaukee and New York are the top two to land him if Miami doesn't step up to the plate and quit being cheap. But Miami's still in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes, so I think they're still holding out a glimmer of hope that he's going to go there. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. He's not going there. You know what I'm saying? When you have teams meeting with him today, Greg Popovich and Brad Stevens as far as head coach, both better coaches, in my opinion, than Eric Spoelstra. We also have better rosters and better future on that team. Yeah, Hassan Whiteside's had one. Don't get it twisted. He's had one good year. And granted, he got the max contract for that one good year. But outside of that, Luol Deng just went and signed with the Los Angeles Lakers, so they lost him. So they have some building blocks in place. Justice Winslow, a couple of other ones over there. But looking at the landscape of it, if you're not going to pay Dwayne Wade a max contract, he still wants to get a ring. He's not getting it in Miami right now. And Kevin Durant's not going there.
I'm really surprised how Pat Riley and the guys in Miami have kind of handled this because if the rumors are true and if he's really upset about how they've been handling this contract negotiation, that's pretty sad because he wanted to be a lifer in Miami for a long time.
He did.
So I'm really, especially with Pat Riley, I mean, if you're going to let you're going to handle this with your star guy, your franchise, the face of the franchise be upset with you, it's a problem. He's going to go to New York.
All right.
Imagine, though, if he goes to New York. Then you're talking about a starting lineup of D. Rose with something to prove, Dwayne Wade with a chip on his shoulder coming from Miami because feeling unwanted. You have Melo, which now he has stars around him. He's only going to get better. Porzingis in his second year, which he averaged 17 a game this year?
Right,
you can
coming
say
off his rookie year.
You can say
and
it's
Noah.
kind of a big four, but you have to downgrade to a mediocre four because of injuries with those guys.
It's a solid 3.
It's a solid 3 on the scale right there.
Here's the thing, and you didn't even add Joakim Noah into the mix when you said
Right.
that. So, I mean, there's another guy. All right, let me ask you guys another question. Is fourth time the charm for Dwight Howard? Because he started in Orlando, went to the NBA Finals but lost. Then he went out west to the Lakers, couldn't play with Kobe. Then he went to the Houston Rockets, couldn't play with James Harden, or the team didn't really get him in the mix. Now he's going to the Atlanta Hawks. Again, back on the Eastern Conference, so you don't have to win 50, 60 games. But the question is this going to be the place where Dwight Howard finally lays his hat and says, I'm here for the duration of my career?
But, I mean, listen, Atlanta didn't really improve, right? Even with this, Al Horford's probably going to go somewhere else. Al Horford is actually a better offensive player right now in this stage than a Dwight Howard. He also rebounds, also plays defense. I know that Howard can do that, but he does it in spurts. So if you lose Horford, that's almost a wash right there. Then you're getting Howard. The other thing you did, you already lost Jeff Teague. He went to the Pacers. So you have a starting lineup right now of Kyle Korver, which, he's a three-point shooter, but he's streaky. You have Kent Bazemore, which you just paid $70 million for. Not sure he's quite worth that much money.
Who is he, by the way? Because I haven't heard that name.
He's on the level of an Evan Turner, almost. Maybe a little bit better, which Evan Turner, he left the Celtics. He just got paid, way overpaid, $75 million or $70 million contract from the Portland Trailblazers. There's just so much money being handed out right now because of the increased inflation of the salary cap. Teams are just paying players that, really don't deserve the money that they're getting right now. And that's why I look at it overall. You have all these players getting max contracts that are – Mike Conley just got $143 million or something like that?
$153 million.
$153 million.
Yes.
So he has a max contract. So you're telling me KD, LeBron aren't worth it? They need a super max then. Because if I'm LeBron, I'm like, man, Mike Conley's making more or the same amount of money as I am. I kind of have an issue with that.
I would too.
But
I'm the best player in the game and cemented myself and rewrote history and established my legacy. But you're going to pay somebody who hasn't even done a fifth, a sixth, a seventh of what I've done, and you're going to give him 5 years or 4 years, whatever it is, 153, the largest contract in NBA history.
That's crazy. And like I said, Atlanta has Schroeder now, there's nobody really behind him. Before they had Teague and Schroeder going, kind of head-to-head. Schroeder would come off the bench. So now they just have Schroeder. They're putting it in the one. You still have Kyle Korver. You have Dwight Howard now, Kent Bazemore, and then who do they have? DeMarre Carroll? Is that? Oh, Paul Millsap they still have on the roster.
Yeah, okay.
So, it's a playoff team. it's a playoff team, but really, did they get to that next level? I think if somehow they convince Al Horford to come back now that they got Dwight Howard, you can move Al Horford to the 4 position. They got a lot better. But if they didn't do that, I think they're the same team pretty much.
But I think the Hawks are looking to, since you said there's so much money to be vested out there, I think what they're going to do is hopefully restructure and open the pocketbook a little bit to bring Al Horford back or keep him.
I don't know if they have that money anymore, though, because they just spent it on Dwight and Kent Bazemore. So, yeah, you have a lot more salary cap this year, but you've already spent it on 2 players. That's not named Al Horford.
What about a 1-year deal? What about a 1-year deal with this team?
I don't think he'll take a 1 year.
He's looking for a 4-year deal. He's 30 years old.
He wants a multi-year deal, not a 1.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, you put the cast of characters around him, and then you say, all right, give us 1 year. Let us prove to you that what we did in this offseason is going to make us an Eastern Conference final in contention. Our name's going to be synonymous with Eastern Conference finals, and then we will find a way to beat LeBron. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, if you ask me, the Knicks right now are going to be the team that everybody is going to be looking to see what they do. And like we all said in the beginning, if in fact they do get Dwayne Wade, if he somehow goes to New York, let me tell you something. He shows out in Madison Square Garden on a nightly basis now. And he's got Carmelo, who's finally you got me somebody. Now you've got a D Rose. Now you got a Joakim Noah. Now you got a Porzingis in his sophomore year. Hopefully the sophomore slump won't affect him. But you take that 5 cast of characters, and now Al Horford's like, well, I need to structure my team the same way. I think what you said with a Kent Bazemore, a Dwight Howard, if they can bring Horford in and say, give us something. Give us an opportunity to prove to you that we made the right decisions and that we can be viable. Then you would have, in my opinion, 3 solid teams in the Eastern Conference. You would have Cleveland, which we will talk to them and how they've just let everybody seem to go when we come back from break. But before that, you got Cleveland, New York, Atlanta. Those would be the 3 teams to me in the Eastern Conference. And I take nothing away from your Boston Celtics, but they haven't
made a move yet. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, they're stagnant right now. The thing is, obviously, one of the biggest things of the offseason so far is the Toronto Raptors retaining DeMar DeRozan. So now they still have Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. They'll probably be back into it next year. They haven't really done anything to lose that team, so I think that they'll still be a playoff team. Who knows if they can take the next step? When we talk about the Knicks, what you just said, they have the highest ceiling, but they also their biggest question marks.
Okay.
And everybody's going to be looking at them. And as they should. You have 4 stars on the roster now. They're aging, but they can still play the game of basketball. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do, to continue. The offseason just began. Free agency just opened yesterday.
Right.
There's going to be a lot more people signing in places starting today. You have 2 Al Horford said right now the top 2 leading candidates are he's either going to Boston or Washington. He did say there's outside chance at Atlanta and also OKC, depending on what's going on with Kevin Durant. And if they could clear cap space to try to go get him too. So, we'll see what happens today, but I expect an answer from Horford at least by the end of the day.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, with that, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to dig a little more into the fact, like I said, the Cavs have just basically let everybody go, and we will see what happens. And then I do want to get into the Kevin Durant discussion as far as 7 teams that are looking for him, the fact that the Clippers, the L.A. Clippers, as according to Kevin Durant, blew him away with what they said to him. So we'll get into that and much more. You are listening to us, Whole Nother Level, every Saturday, 1 to 3 Eastern on STLR Media. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to A Whole Nother Level. These guys drop more points than Steph Curry.
And welcome back to Whole Nother Level. All right, gentlemen, let's keep the show going. We are truly talking about NBA free agency, which, as Craig said before we went to break, just opened up yesterday, and already major things have happened. But then again, some things haven't happened. And one of those things I want to talk about is just the fact that the Cavs have pretty much dispersed their team and have gone everywhere. Craig, you were saying it during the break. Mozgov's gone. Dellavedova's been offered money. I think Richard Jefferson, I heard somewhere that he wants to be
Luke
Walton's assistant
coach. Yeah.
He's all over the place, though, because he said he's going to retire, and he's like, you know what, I kind of want to play for 2-3 more years, and then he said he wants to be an assistant. So I don't know where his head's at, but I'm going to guess where his head's at after seeing all the money thrown around. Like, I can put it together for 2-3 more years if I'm going to get paid at least 10, 12 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I heard, too. I heard that he wanted to play for – I mean, the last I heard, he wanted to play another couple years. So, who knows what's going on with this kid.
I mean, the cap's gotten so out of hand. Shane Battier came on Twitter and said, I might make a comeback.
Oh, my Lord. Are you serious?
Dead serious. Saw it last night.
Wow. Shame. Can you imagine? I can't even. Anyhow, so they're going to have to restructure. The reigning NBA champions are going to have to seriously restructure if these gentlemen go places. I mean, somebody please tell J.R. Smith, number one, put a shirt on. And number two, bruh, what are you doing? Like, has anybody reached out to him and been like, well, you might want to come play with us for a couple of years and bring that talent to wherever? But I mean, I've heard nothing, so I want to kick it to you, gentlemen, and say
I'm really surprised the Cavs haven't made any moves because their bench was horrendous during the playoffs. So I'm really surprised they haven't reached out to anybody. You haven't heard anything about the Cavs reaching out to anybody.
Dude, they're just still happy they won a championship over in Cleveland. That's all they care about at this point. They're still just kind of soaking in the moment.
I mean, I know their number one priority right now is LeBron's deal, like what LeBron's going to do if he's going to take the 1 year deal.
He's taking a 1 year.
Yeah, because I mean, next year. Oh, my God.
The cap goes up another 15, 13 million or something like that.
2017 is the year of LeBron gets the hugest contract ever.
Okay,
ever.
And
that's why Kevin Durant's ultimately probably going to sign a 1 year deal with OKC because he's going to be on the same level as LeBron, and they're going to get paid a 6 year, $200 million contract.
So then why not Al Horford? We talked about this in the break, and you guys said he's not going to do it. But looking at where the money's going to be next year, looking at the pieces that Atlanta brought to you, why not sign a 1 year deal? Because then next year you can be like, all right, it didn't work, so I gave you the opportunity. You brought in the pieces. Chemistry wasn't there. All right, see ya. I'm going to get a max contract.
No, I mean, while we're talking about Al Horford, I just don't know if Atlanta has enough to offer him the 1 year, even $15, $20 million right now because of them signing Kent Bazemore and Dwight. And if you look at the roster now, okay, then where are you going to put Paul Millsap? Is he going to move to the 3 because he ultimately plays the 4?
Right.
So then it's like, okay, well, you could do that. And then, but then if somebody goes small ball, you guys are getting blown out because you're talking about running with Paul Millsap, Horford, and Dwight Howard all on the floor at the same time. And I don't know if they can keep up with some of these younger teams. But if you look at the landscape of what's going on right now, some of the teams that are traditionally run very, very well haven't made moves.
Right.
You have a Golden State Warriors team that hasn't made a move yet. They're waiting on Durant. You've had the Boston Celtics team. They haven't made a move yet. They're waiting and seeing what's going on. The Spurs are meeting with Kevin Durant today. They haven't made a single move yet. There's a couple other teams I could throw in the mix too. Yeah, the Heat have signed Whiteside, so they locked up their number one priority. But other than that, they haven't really made a move. They've let some guys go, but they haven't really reached out to even a Dwayne Wade. So some of these organizations that are traditionally run really well are kind of a wait and sees right now, other than paying some of the players that are clearly getting overpaid.
Crazy
the
money.
Lakers paying Timothy Mozgov, which played every single playoff game, granted, because he was on the championship team. He scored 15 total points in the entire playoffs. And he just got a $64 million contract. Because why? Because he's tall.
So you're saying they overpaid for him?
You want to talk
kidding?
about overpay? The Nets just gave Linsanity like a 3 year deal.
Back to New York.
Are you kidding me? Come on.
Where did the Brooklyn Nets decide that? When did they decide, shall I say, that Jeremy Lin was worth that much money?
Because they have to do something because nobody wants to go there. Their franchise is in shambles. Literally, since Boston raped them, excuse that language, that's a bad word, of that trade, literally an aging Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, sent them all over there, and we got like 19 first-round picks. We literally had their unprotected first-round pick next year, which I just read an article saying that if Al Horford signs and they can convince Kevin Durant tonight, they will dangle that first-round pick next year to the Sacramento Kings in hopes to get DeMarcus Cousins and pair him DeMarcus Cousins, Al Horford, and Kevin Durant for the upcoming season. Yeah. And I know it's so far-fetched, but you never know what could happen.
Yeah, the Nets just signed Jeremy Lin for a 3 year deal for $36, and then they also signed Justin Hamilton for a 2 year deal too.
That's just
so I don't know what's going on, Brooklyn.
I mean, I know you got billionaire.
They're tanking for Boston. Perfect. We'll take the number one pick next year.
I know you got billionaire money, but could you at least spend it somewhat smartly? Let's get back to the Cavs here. So clearly LeBron has declined the player option. So we're saying that LeBron's going to sign a 1 year deal, and then next year get the biggest contract ever, especially since, what's his name, 5 years, Mike Conley.
153, right?
153. Yeah. So LeBron's like, wait a minute, no. This is not going to happen. So I'm going to sign a 1 year deal with Cleveland, and y'all can pay me whatever, 15, 16 million, make it happen. I don't care. But I'm letting you know, next year, if I don't get at least a $200 million contract, I'm gone.
Well, he'll still get 22, 26 million this year on the 1 year deal.
All right, fair
and then
enough.
next year he's going to be making like 30, 35 million a year.
It's going to be the highest.
I mean, these NFL players right now are looking at these NBA contracts and saying, "Wait a second, we're the most popular sport
Where's my money?
in America.
Where's my money?
We're taking hits that these other players aren't taking, and we're the third highest paid sport behind baseball and basketball."
Right.
I mean, look for things to change in the NFL probably in 2 or 3 years.
Dude, as soon as the new reign comes in, I think that's going to be a huge issue
what you're
with
saying-
a lot more guaranteed money being
So
thrown
basically
around.
what you're saying is 2017 NBA is going to get more money, and then 2018 we'll say maybe the NFL.
It depends when Roger Goodell's reign's over, because
hopefully soon.
They had it's going to have to be in the next collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, because these
Whenever
guys,
that might
and
be
I
again.
completely agree with you. With everything, the injuries that these NFL players sustain, the fact that they have created billionaires, not only out of the organization but out of the owners, they seriously pocket money. I mean, hell, it's July, and this show is predicated on the fact that we talk football.
We
I mean,
do.
come on.
Yeah.
So clearly, NFL's going to have to make some serious changes. All right, what about Orlando? I mean, when I saw that Serge Ibaka was coming to Orlando, the first thing I said to myself was, Durant's gone. Durant is gone. Because
and you might be right.
and
We'll
Russell
see.
Westbrook, though that dichotomy together, it's like they can't have a big three in Oklahoma City. They first tried it with Durant, Westbrook, James Harden. Got you to the NBA Finals, but didn't get a ring. So now they waited a couple years, and Serge Ibaka came up through the ranks, and now it was Durant, Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. You were 3-1 on the defending champs, and you lost, and then Cleveland beat the defending champs. So in reality, Oklahoma could have beat Cleveland this year. So it's like, where's the problem? But now Serge Ibaka is like, well, you know what? I'm not sticking around for this. I'm going to get me some money. So I went to Orlando. All right, fine. Realizing that he's going to be the main guy in Orlando, because name me somebody else who's going to step up and take over that role.
Probably Fournier. I mean, the shooting guard Fournier, isn't he?
Yeah, he just agreed to a 5-year deal for about $85 million.
$85 million for
85.
Evan Fournier
85
off
million.
one good year
Right.
and one decent year. Decent. It wasn't a great year.
Did they make the postseason?
No.
No.
So then how is he getting 5 years?
They haven't made the postseason.
They
since,
traded their
since
best
Howard
offense.
left.
They traded their best offensive player in Victor Oladipo, which, by the way, he went to the Thunder in the Serge Ibaka deal. That's a lot of offense. He averaged 16, 7 points a game, and I think 8, 9 rebounds.
So you send your number one guy to Oklahoma City, and in turn, you got Serge Ibaka, who's going to step in and take the role as the number one guy. What is Orlando going to do this year?
I'm confused, honestly, with Orlando, because this is what I see. I see them. They signed DJ Augustine to a 4-year, $29 million deal.
Okay.
He's going to back up Elfrid Payton, which Elfrid Payton wasn't that great last year. He needs to cut down on his turnovers, and he needs to score the basketball more. They signed Jeff Green to a
1 year deal.
1 year deal worth $15 million.
Right.
And that's bad in both senses, because first off, it's a 1 year deal, so he could just essentially leave after the season. And Serge Ibaka is on still a 1 year deal. So Orlando might have brought these players and paid them for 1 year, and then they don't see him again. Serge Ibaka could go right back to OKC or wherever he wants to go next season.
I have faith in Frank Vogel with the amount of talent he has now than what they did. I mean,
Yeah.
you're coming into a situation where you have a bunch of young players, and he could. Isn't Paul George free agent next year or this year, where you could recruit him from Indiana?
Yeah, but they're putting a lot of pieces in Indiana now. Now you got Jeff Teague at the one. They got they signed Al Jefferson, and they got him very cheap for what the market's going for. 3 years, $30 million. If I'm Al Jefferson, I'm like, I need to see that contract again, because I need to scratch my name out, because I need to go re-sign and get about $20 million a year instead of 10. And they signed Thaddeus Young, which is a complimentary player over there. So, and they've kept their core together for the most part.
Craig, I'm with you. I don't know what they're doing in Orlando about these 1 year deals with these guys. It isn't a win now thing when you're signing 1 year contracts with these guys. You're going to opt out anyways next year. I don't get what's going on in Orlando. I really don't.
I mean, the only thing that I could think of is maybe they're like, you know what? This fan base hasn't seen the playoffs in a few years. We bring in a Jeff Green. We bring in a Serge Ibaka. Maybe we can bring in another complimentary piece. Pay him now because the salary cap's going to come up next year. Maybe we at least get the 8th seed, 7th seed, and the fan base is going to be a little bit more excited, and maybe we can draw some people in next year. I mean, Dwayne, what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's plausible because, you have a Orlando Magic team that really hasn't been relevant for years. They've had their problems since the franchise started.
Since we went and saw him 7 years ago.
Since the franchise started. So, I mean, that's very plausible that, they want to just try to get these guys in. Maybe they gel. Possibly, if they gel, they'll sign on for more years. So, I think the key is trying to get more fans on the bandwagon, butts on the seats, people watching the Orlando Magic. So I agree with that. I have to
So this is going to be the year of the question mark, or the year of the 1-year deal, pretty much.
Remember, you only need 45 wins to make it in the playoffs in the East.
It's 40. You only need 38.
38, that's right.
I'm sorry. You can be under 500, and that has been my biggest gripe when it comes to the Eastern Conference year in and year out. I know Dwayne is sick of me talking about it, but you can be at 38 and I can't do the math right now, 42, 40, whatever it is.
44, I think.
Something like that. Thank you. Yeah, 38 and 44. Thank you. You can be 38 and 44 and make the postseason as the number 7 seed.
I think that's going to change that this year, though, because I think there's
Adam Silver needs to hurry up and change it then.
Well, Adam Silver is too busy filming a Star Trek or Star Wars episode. The dude looks so creepy. I can't get over that still. Every time I hear that name, I mean.
Silverman, Silver, whatever.
I think that there's more people, more players right now actually joining teams in the East, like a Dwight Howard coming over, like a Serge Ibaka now coming over from the, joining the East. Who knows what Kevin Durant's going to do? But I see more. I see Indiana being over 500. I see obviously Cleveland. I see Toronto being over 500. We'll see what Al Horford does. I see Atlanta being over 500 right now. We'll see if Orlando can get there. I think Boston has a chance to get there. Charlotte did a good job in re-signing Nicholas Batum, and they had a good year last year for them.
They did.
So I do think that this year is going to be a little bit different. Are they still as strong as the West? No.
Hell no.
Another thing I want to bring up, and I want to get you guys' opinion, so whoever wants to jump in on this. What in the hell is the Dallas Mavericks doing? Because Mark Cuban, as good as a businessman he is, that team is in shambles too. You know, they have Dirk Nowitzki. Is he going to sign on and be basically end his career there knowing they have absolutely no chance of winning another championship?
You know, Craig, going back to what you said about all these organizations, like the big ones, like the Lakers, like Dallas and Antonio, about not doing anything. That's the one team I'm really surprised about that hasn't done anything is the Dallas Mavericks. And if you're Mark Cuban, who loves to win, hasn't done anything in free agency, I'm really surprised. I don't know what it is with these big teams that haven't done anything.
They met with Mike Conley. They met with Hassan Whiteside. They couldn't get a deal done with either. Both of them went and signed. And then while they were doing that, they lost Chandler Parsons because he just went and signed with Memphis.
Yep.
So I'm looking at their roster right now, and Dirk's not even signed. And I'm
depleted.
Like, what is going on over there? Who do they have? Tyson Chandler? Is that their number one dude over there right now? Wesley Matthews?
Do they still have Rajon Rondo? They let him go.
No, Rajon Rondo's in Sacramento. And here's the thing about Rajon Rondo.
He's not even, yeah.
He's an unrestricted free agent.
And nobody wants to sign him.
No. Guess who's looking at him? Philadelphia.
but they do need a point guard. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we're tired of center, so maybe we'll start bringing point guards.
They do need a point guard. If you're Orlando, I think that would be I think Elfrid. I mean, I know you still believe in Elfrid Payton, but I don't. So if I'm Orlando, I'm looking to bring in maybe a Rondo and pairing him with a Jeff Green, with a Serge Ibaka, with an Aaron Gordon. I think that he could do well there.
You want that head case?
Eventually, he's going to be like, you know what? I need to get my stuff together here because max contract next year, salary cap's going up. I need 1 year that I shut up and get paid.
That's the only reason why we hear nothing about Rondo this year. I put money on it right now. The only reason we hear nothing about Rajon Rondo being a head case this year is because he knows if he comes out and plays the way that we've seen him play in the past, when he played with the Kevin Garnetts, with the Paul Pierces and the Ray Allens, and he steps up into that role, then he knows next year, I can get me a max contract. All I got to do is shut up for 1 year. Shut up for 82 games. That's the only reason why. I'm telling you right now, once he get that money, same old Rondo.
Oh, man, I can't even argue because you're probably right.
I'm telling you. Okay, so let's move on because we've talked about him, but we haven't dug deeper into him. So let's go to Kevin Durant. 7 teams from Jump Street were like, we want to talk to you. So far, the only thing I've heard from Kevin Durant or his court has been the fact that the Clippers, of all the teams, have, quote, blown him away with what they said to him. They've impressed him that much.
Their presentation the other day was the Big Four. To play with CP3, to play with Blake Griffin, to play with DeAndre Jordan. That is their selling point. Imagine you could be playing with these 3 other guys. Imagine the championships, bringing them back to L.A. If whatever else they had in that presentation that blew him away, quote unquote, I want to know. Did they have dancing girls? Did they have like a good caterer? What was going on in that presentation?
Here's the one thing I will say, and I have to give kudos to our man Frank. He has no interest whatsoever in going back to D.C. and playing with the Wizards. And I thought for sure he would at least entertain the idea of going back there. He has gone every other place humanly possible except to the Wizards, and has gone on record in saying, I have no interest in playing with the Washington Wizards. And I find that, I guess because I'm a hometown guy, you know, I love my Philly team, so if I had the opportunity to play for one of them, I'd be like, well, hell yeah, I'm going. Why wouldn't I go home? Everybody loves me. They know me. Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but what do you have that's sexy in Washington, though?
It's DC.
It's not sexy. Well, it's not sexy like LA. It's not sexy like
But it's
San
the
Antonio.
Clippers, not the Lakers.
Still,
if you want to talk sexy to me is the Lakers.
Yeah, but sexy.
That's the old sexy.
I'm talking about a sexy lineup. When you're going to Washington, you got nothing. If you go to LA, if you go to the Clippers, you have that lineup.
But you still play in the Western Conference.
But hold on for a second. Let me pose this to you.
Go ahead.
They have John Wall.
Yes.
They just locked up Bradley Beal for 4 or 5 years. Al Horford is reportedly leaning towards either the Celtics or the Wizards now. If he picks the Wizards tonight, now all of a sudden you're Kevin Durant. You have John Wall. You have Bradley Beal. You can come in, and then you have Al Horford. I mean, that looks pretty attractive to me.
More than the Clippers?
Yes.
More than San
Yeah, I mean,
Antonio?
that's
More than
all
San Antonio?
First off, you're in the Eastern Conference number 1, which means you don't have to win that many games. Number 2, all you got to do is beat LeBron and get to the finals. Number 3,
All you
you're
have
home.
to do. That's a
All
tall
you have to
task,
do.
my
I know.
friend.
All you
But
have
that's a
to
playoff.
do.
That's a playoff team.
It is.
The lineup you just
100%.
mentioned, Craig, is a playoff.
That's
team.
100% a playoff.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's my point. My point is, if he decides, if Al Horford makes that decision and does that jump and then is like, okay, I'm going to Washington. You put him, Beal, Wall together. Kevin Durant, in my opinion, has to be smart enough to look at the fact that you are going to not only increase your brand, but you are not going to have to put your body through the test. You're not going to be battle tested. You're going to be fresh because you don't have to play the Golden States 7-8 times a year. You don't have to play San Antonio, the Clippers, anybody else in the Western Conference.
I will say this: when I look at the actual team makeup of the Clippers, I think Kevin Durant on that team that's almost picture perfect.
Yes.
You have Chris Paul, which as good as of a scorer he is, he's a pass first point guard. He's an actual point guard. Westbrook looks to score first.
Okay.
So Durant would get a lot more opportunity in that sense. Then when you go to the 4 position, a guy like Blake Griffin is one of the top 4s in the game, and then DeAndre Jordan's a top 5 center in the game.
And if he goes to that team, he wouldn't have to do much as he did on
Plus,
OKC.
Reddick's a great shooter, so you would have
You're going on a perfect situation.
a legit starting 5 to where you could. That would probably be the best starting 5 in the
He
league.
wouldn't have to do as much as he did in OKC. You were going into a perfect situation where you don't have to score as much. You could pass the ball. You wouldn't have to do as much.
But you're still in the Western Conference, and you're still going to be battle tested. And there's no guarantee. Look, David West signed a 1-year, $1 million deal because he thought San Antonio was going to make the postseason. He thought San Antonio, this was the team I want to be on. I'm going to take less money so that I can get to the finals. And what happened to San Antonio this year? Kevin Durant could have that same mentality, but the bottom line
Kevin
is,
Durant happened to San Antonio this year,
Thank you.
but he
Thank
knows
you.
that.
But what I'm saying to you is, if you don't, you can try to go out there and think that putting these pieces together is going to get us a championship. But the bottom line is this. Let's say, for argument's sake, because we talked about Golden State. Golden State has done little to nothing so far in free agency. Granted, it's day 2, but what if Golden State stays together? Now you go from OKC to the Clippers. You still got to go through Golden State, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. You would have to because if they miss out on Durant, they're going to try to re-sign Harrison Barnes and keep Festus Ezeli.
Yes.
Obviously, if Kevin Durant wants to go there, those two are both gone.
Right. But what I'm saying to you is, if you go to the Eastern Conference, that is what I'm putting my emphasis on when it comes to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, hopefully he's wearing green.
I don't care if he goes to Boston. Go somewhere in the Eastern Conference where you are fresher, where you have more in you to where you don't have to be the guy night in and night out. And when it gets to the postseason, then you turn it on.
Yeah, but if you go to LA or San Antonio, you don't have to be the guy.
Very true. I mean, San
don't have to be
Antonio
the guy.
with a lineup of Kawhi, Kevin Durant, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Let's be honest. Wherever Kevin Durant goes, if it is to the Clippers, they are, in my opinion, the best team in the league. If he goes to the Warriors, obviously they're the best team in the league because they just won 73 games.
Done deal.
If he goes to the Spurs, they're the best team in the league.
Okay.
I mean, you can throw Cleveland in there, but in my opinion, Kevin Durant on any of those 3 rosters, it's already.
No, I will completely
But I
agree
still
with you.
think his best chance and smartest chance to win is to stay in OKC.
I think we're all agreeing on that.
You have Westbrook.
You're not?
No, I'm not.
You have Westbrook still there. Yeah, you traded Serge Ibaka, but you know what? You also saw the incline, not a decline, an incline in Steven Adams. You saw the second-year coach now in Billy Donovan, and you traded for Victor Oladipo, which is a scorer now. That's what you missed when you lost Reggie Jackson a year ago.
Yeah, all right.
So now you know in your head with that basically that same roster, you were up 3 games to 1 on a team that won 73 games.
Right.
So that's what you have to hang your hat on, not to mention they can pay you the most.
But what I'm still going to go back to say is a one-year deal in OKC versus a one-year deal somewhere else just to at least try it out, I think is going to benefit Kevin Durant more. I think he needs to break away from what he's used to in OKC because OKC can't seem to get it together. You can have it. I mean, and we saw it when they were playing the Golden State Warriors and they came out and they just dropped 100 points in 3 quarters. I was like, they're winning. I was like, OKC's winning. It's a Thunder's Cavs finals. And
Eric, I'm going to agree upon you with him going to another team for a one-year deal. And you're probably going to destroy me with your answer because I'm not really a big NBA guy. But if he stays in OKC for that one-year deal,
okay,
they have unfinished business.
Okay.
The chip on the shoulder. Okay,
yep.
They had a chance to go to the finals. With him and Westbrook, they have unfinished business to go back.
Okay.
Stay with that one-year deal to see what you can do, and then explore free agency afterwards when the cap goes even bigger than that. Why would you go to another team where it could probably fail and make you look horrible instead of staying with the team that you're on?
Because we just said that Kevin Durant, no matter where he goes, whether it be whether he stays with OKC, whether he goes to Golden State, San Antonio, LA Clippers, he makes that team better. He makes that team.
Can we throw Boston in there too, please?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that.
But you're at a system you already know, but you have that one-year deal. So if your team does well, your free agency goes even through the roof for your value.
It's about reinvesting. Let me finish.
Okay.
If he goes to one of those 4, whether he stays in one or goes to one of the other 3 Western Conference teams, what Kevin Durant does is he elevates that team as a whole. What we say for LeBron in the Eastern Conference, we now say for Kevin Durant in the Western Conference.
I totally agree with you upon that. He makes a team better. I agree with you upon that, yes.
He goes for a one-year deal, and what he does is he gels that team together. That way, when the next year comes and he gets that money, he's already made a partial investment. Because I think that's what owners and coaches look for. Give me 1 year. Give me a one-year deal. Let me show you what I can do with this organization. And let me show you where you are going to be with this organization, okay? Let's say he goes to the Clippers for argument's sake. You've got, and Craig said it, and you know what? I'll piggyback off you, Craig. I'll completely agree with you. If he goes to L.A., the Clippers are the best team in the NBA next season. Done. You heard it here, whole nother level. What I will say to you is that gives Kevin Durant 1 year to work with CP3, to work with DeAndre Jordan, to work with Blake Griffin, to work with the rest of these guys and say, okay, we're going to hone our craft right now. So that way when the following season comes around and Kevin Durant gets that contract, guess what? Now this team knows with Kevin Durant 1 year already underneath his belt and the 5 of us gelling together, can't nobody stop us. Nobody. It's about the chemistry. Now, let's flip to the Eastern Conference, a conference where I continually say it, and it continually annoys me. You don't have to be as good to get to the postseason. Let's say, and I'll give Craig his due, he goes to Boston. Now you've got Brad Stevens. You've got a cast of characters, young guys who probably want Kevin Durant because they know with Kevin Durant on their team, they are going to bring back that Celtic dominance. So 1 year, they gel themselves together. And let's say they get to maybe the second round of the postseason. Maybe they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and they have to face LeBron. So now we got a KD, LeBron, Eastern Conference Finals. You don't think that next year, he can just say, okay, we now know we've taken Cleveland's best punch. Because Cleveland is going to restructure. I don't care what anybody says. Cleveland may be the champs, but unless they bring in some serious heavy hitters to stack that bench, Cleveland is going to be all on LeBron again.
I mean, they have Kyrie and they still have Kevin Love over there. And I think that, as much stuff that Kevin Love took throughout the season, he still contributed when it mattered most. And I think that he's going to continue to improve on that roster. They're going to find ways to utilize him. I look at that exact situation and look at the Chris Bosh situation. When he went to Miami, it was always LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and everybody forgot. Bosh got lost. People were like, where's Bosh? This isn't the same Bosh from Toronto. Same thing. It wasn't the same Kevin Love than Minnesota because he's used to being the number 1 option. When you're the number 3 option now, you get lost in transition.
Right.
But let me break it down for you for a second. If Al Horford, for some reason, signs with Boston, and I have my fingers crossed, when you look at the squad now, who do you think is better, Steven Adams or Al Horford?
Al Horford.
Me too. Hypothetically, Kevin Durant goes to Boston. You have Kevin Durant, so it would be Kevin Durant, and then it'd be Kevin Durant on Oklahoma City. Wash. Who's better, Westbrook or Isaiah Thomas? Westbrook is. But he's only better a little bit, so almost you're even now. Now start looking at the role players.
Right.
Jay Crowder is a really, really good player for Boston. You still have Marcus Smart, really good player. You still have Kelly Olynyk on the roster. I mean, what are you going to do with Jared Sullinger? He could come back. So I feel like, actually, I know if both Al Horford and Kevin Durant go there, they're in the Eastern Conference Finals, and they're playing LeBron.
There you go.
I know that for a fact. Now, whether he knows it or not, that's the other question.
But that's my point.
I know you hit the nail on the head. It takes one domino to fall.
Exactly, and that's what we've talked about throughout this whole entire NBA season. When free agency came around, all it takes is one person, one star player, to come to a team, and then what happens? Everybody else is looking at that team like, oh, wait a minute. Look what he did in 1 year. If I jump on that team, look what I could do. You know what I'm saying? And I don't got to be a star player. I can come in off the bench, give you 9 and 3 a night. So that's why I'm saying going to the Western Conference, yeah, you got unfinished business. Because if I'm Kevin Durant and I looked at the one side, I'll give you the other side, Evan, and I'll play that devil's advocate with you.
Please do.
I'm Kevin Durant, all right? Me and Russell Westbrook were 3-1 on the champs, and we got our butts handed to us, thinking that Golden State was then going to just ride into the NBA Finals and just beat LeBron. Well, guess what? LeBron said not tonight. So now I got a bigger chip on my shoulder because we could have beat Golden State. I know we can beat LeBron. We've been there before against him. Now, granted, he handed us our behinds, but he was in Miami. If you going to tell me right now NBA Finals next year is going to be Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and OKC versus LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and the rest of the Cavaliers, not knowing what their benches are going to bring to the table, I'm going to tell you right now, as long as Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook play with the intensity they played with in Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals, they're going to win. But if the Cavs can stack their bench and OKC doesn't have the right pieces, then it's going to be all for nothing. I would much rather, if I'm him, go to a team where I can gel with them for 1 year, then get my max contract, have a year underneath me, and build this team up.
All right, well, let me ask you. If you're KD, where do you go?
Oh, okay. You know what?
Go?
I'll take a break, so I got to marinate on that for a minute. So let's take a break. When we come back, I will give you my answer, and I want to get your answers as well, gentlemen. And after that, we got to talk a little sad business here in the world of sports, and then we're definitely going to get into the NFL because it wouldn't be whole nother level if we didn't. We are tackling the AFC South. You are listening to us. We'll be right back.
Whole nother level. Saturdays, 1 to 3 Eastern.
Point I'm trying to make before I was rudely interrupted by Eric. The point I'm
Shocker.
Only on Sky's The Limit Radio. Entertainment with no ceilings.
And welcome back to Whole Nother Level. All right. Mr. Evan Bush asked me the question before we went to break. Where does Kevin Durant go? I have had time to think about this. If you ask me right now, Kevin Durant does not re-sign with OKC.
Whoa!
He does not. He does not. And you know what?
Where's he going?
He's been talking about it for so long. I'm going to give him his due. I'm going to give him his wish. He goes to Boston.
What?
He goes to Boston.
Say
Wow. That'd be Christmas in July, boy.
Right.
Christmas in July. I hope you're right.
Look like the Irish to you.
That would be ridiculous.
But here's my
Seriously.
thing, and I base it on one thing.
I will kiss your forehead if it happens. Tell me I won't.
Eric is a prophet all of a
Kiss
sudden.
that forehead.
I will tell you for one reason and one reason only. Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens, I think, is the kind of coach that Kevin Durant will respect. He will take great focus from. And Craig hit the nail on the head before the break. Isaiah Thomas is almost on the same level as a Russell Westbrook. I think if Kevin Durant comes in, he would be in contention with being just as good as Russell Westbrook. I think the rest of the cast of characters on that Boston Celtics team are strong enough to know that if we get this guy, guess what? We're serving notice to LeBron right now. Eastern Conference Finals, bruh, you got to come to Boston. And so there you go. So now I said it.
That's a bold pick.
Man.
I said it. So, gentlemen,
Like I said, I hope you're right.
I'm kicking it to you guys now. So, you know what, Evan? You asked me. I'm going to ask you. Where does Kevin Durant go?
I say he does the 1-year deal.
He stays in OKC. Okay.
1-year deal.
Dwayne, what do you think?
You know, there's an old adage: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in this case, it's broke a little bit because they had a 3-1 lead and lost it in the Western Conference Finals. But I mean, I don't see, with the addition of Oladipo, not Oladipo,
Victor Oladipo.
yeah, Oladipo. I say they're a little better than they were last year. So I say Durant stays.
Okay.
OKC.
As much as I want to agree with Eric here, and I really, really hope it comes to fruition, they have a seat at the table, and that's all you can ask for. So do the Clippers, so do the Spurs, and we haven't even really got into the Spurs, and they do what they do every year. They quietly bring the champ in, basically, bring the top player in, and then somehow Greg Popovich sits there, and he just sits in the meeting, doesn't even say anything, just stares at him.
Probably.
Like, I know you want to come here. You know what I'm saying? Probably just stares at him. And then they're like, okay, I'm coming. No, I think it's going to be close, but I really think that he has unfinished business in OKC. I don't think he signs a 4 or 5 year deal there. I think he signs a 1 year deal in Oklahoma City. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes to Boston.
All right.
So we'll see what happens. But like I said, Eric, I will kiss that forehead.
He will come to go to bed tonight. Have your little dream, and then you could do your thing to Boston. And when you wake up, you'll find out that he probably stays in OKC or something. But yeah, it's good.
Supposedly he's going to make his decision on Monday because he's meeting with the Celtics and the Spurs today, and tomorrow he has a Miami Heat, and then he's given OKC the last meeting.
I tell you what, everyone's at the edge of their seat for this one.
And that's respect. You got to admire that. He's at least giving the team that he's currently playing on. He's like, listen, I've heard all the other offers out there.
He hasn't been blown away like he was in L.A.
Someone might.
Well, we don't know yet.
He's only blown away once.
He's only taken 2 other ones so far.
Right.
The Clippers and who was the other team that he met with yesterday as well?
I don't even know.
I thought there was one more team. So he met with the Clippers. He's meeting with the Spurs, Celtics, Heat, OKC.
It was Golden State.
Golden State. Yes.
Wow. And they couldn't get a read on him because it didn't go so well.
And they brought everybody in, too, I heard. They brought Curry and Thompson and Green there.
Damn.
So if you leave Golden State and you couldn't get a read on him, but he goes to L.A. and visits the Clippers and he's blown away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You didn't do your job.
Sorry, Golden State. You lost out in the sweep.
Well, Doc, man. Doc is a respectable coach in the NBA. So, Doc's in there and he's telling everybody how it is. And, I mean, like I said, that would be an awesome team for him to go to because I think at every position they have pretty much the guy that you want. So it would be such a solid starting 5 there.
It would. All right, gentlemen. Like I said before we went to break, we got a little bit of bad news that we got to get off our chests here. We here at Whole Nother Level want to offer our condolences to just a pioneer of a woman. She was amazing. And Pat Summitt, women's college basketball for the University of Tennessee. I mean, she gave it all. This woman, think about it like this. Head coaching record, 1,098 wins. She had an 85% win rate, 8 NCAA division titles, 16 SEC regular season titles, 16 SEC tournament titles, Coach of the Year for the SEC 8 times, NCAA Coach of the Year 7 times. I mean, this woman was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom back in 2012. She was a player. She was a coach. I mean, she set the precedent for women's basketball. To me, there are only 2 coaches when it comes to women's basketball, her and Gino.
And she paved the way for Gino.
And
Yes,
she
she
did.
did.
She did. She really did.
Well, she's a trailblazer. I mean, she had the best. I mean, she's a great recruiter as well. I mean,
Yeah.
she had the best high school players basically players coming out of high school to come to her squad. So great recruiter as well. I mean, you can't say enough about this coach. She knew all aspects of the game. You just mentioned it, Eric. She's a former player at the University of Tennessee, Martin.
Yeah. She's
a product of the state of Tennessee. She was part of that state, part of the psyche, if you will, of basketball. She will always be remembered.
One stat I thought that was amazing was out of her 39 years of coaching, out of all the players that she had on her teams, all of them graduated.
Wow.
That's
all
insane.
of them
That's
graduated.
remarkable, yeah.
That's insane.
That's a mark of you want to talk about establishing legacy?
Right.
That alone.
You don't hear that in men's basketball. You
No.
hardly hear that in college sports.
I just
about
got
everybody
goosebumps.
graduated. Yeah, so did I. Like 39 years and all your girls graduate. That's an amazing stat.
You're doing something right. And
Exactly.
She is a true ambassador for the game of the women's sports. And in my opinion, there wouldn't even be a WNBA, without Pat Summitt because so many players that she brought and grew through her program went on to be stars in the WNBA. And I think that's how that has and for everyone that follows women's sports, you know how hard it is for them to even get people interested in a women's sport, whether it be basketball. But people are interested in Tennessee basketball.
Yes.
They were with Pat Summitt. They are with, Connecticut and Gino.
Yep.
And that draws interest, to the WNBA.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, too, that there were more folks attending University of Tennessee women's games than the men's games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Even when Bruce Pearl was there, right?
Pearl.
Yeah, he was there.
That's crazy.
Taking off his shirt and everything.
I want to read you guys this really quick, and I'm reading it straight from Wikipedia because I didn't even know this. She wrote 3 books, all with co-author Sally Jenkins. One was Reach for the Summit, which is a part motivational book and part biography. She wrote Raise the Roof about the Lady Bulls, the 1997-98 undefeated and NC championship winning season, and Sum It Up, covering her life, including her experience being diagnosed and living with Alzheimer's. That's crazy. I mean, that's just to show you when you watched her out there as a head coach, this woman was so laser focused. And the fact that she had to live with Alzheimer's?
Just goes to show you how deadly of a disease Alzheimer's is. How quickly she went, too, because, a few years ago she was diagnosed and then all of a sudden, boom, she's gone.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing. As a women's coach compared to some men's coaches, she's probably got some bigger balls than most of these guys do.
By far.
By far.
By far. And then, of course, the other news, which I'm sure as you gentlemen know, my birthday was Tuesday, June 28th, and I woke up, and I'm 40 now. So I saw that Pat Summitt had passed away. I'm like, really? On my birthday? I was like, man, that sucks. But then to see that a man who I never met but inspired me as a young kid, Buddy Ryan. Man, I'm going to tell you what. Growing up in Philadelphia and the time frame that he was there, to me, there was no one better. I looked up to him because Buddy Ryan, he said what he wanted to say and didn't give a damn who the hell heard him. And I look at Rex and Rob right now, and we offer our condolences to the Ryan family. But what I'm saying is Buddy Ryan gave me the best quote ever. Ever. We know we're going to beat the Cowboys. They know we're going to beat them. We're just not going to tell them how. That still to this day will forever be embodied in me. And I think if there was ever a man who made me want to be just a standout individual, it was Buddy Ryan. That man was head and shoulders. I mean, you're talking about some of the great Eagle games, the body bag game, the Monday night game with Randall Cunningham, just crazy, crazy. I watched some of these old games, and I'm just like, that is how a coach is supposed to be. That is when I think of a coach in the National Football League, that's who I think of. And I take nothing away from some of the greats, Tony Dungy, Bill Belichick, Bill Cowher, excuse me, I almost said Bill Roethlisberger. But, I think of these great coaches, and a lot of them, they are very, I won't say jaded or transparent or one-sided. This is who they are. They're very even-keeled. That's the word I'm looking for. Buddy Ryan don't care. Buddy Ryan going to call you, he going to call you out, and he going to let you know. But there was one thing about him that stood for me that I was like, it made me stand up. And it was the fact that you looked at him and it's like.
You got scared?
Yeah. The intimidation factor. And he wasn't a tall man at all.
No.
But just the intimidation factor. Like you, yes, sir, no, sir, please, and thank you, Buddy Ryan. I don't care who you were. And so for me, that is, y'all know I'm a huge fan. I love my team.
Well, let me ask you this, too, Eric. I would think that a lot of Philadelphia fans are a big fan of Buddy Ryan.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. When it comes to coaching in Philadelphia, it's Buddy Ryan. You can talk about all the other coaches that have come and gone throughout the Philadelphia Eagle era, but in my opinion, and I would challenge anybody, I don't care. Granted, Andy Reid did a lot for our organization. Now we have Doug Peterson. We'll see what he do. But to me, outside of, there is one. There is one who I would put above Buddy Ryan, and that's Dick Vermeil. He's probably the only one.
So Andy Reid's not even in the conversation, huh?
Andy Reid would be he's my third.
Okay.
So it'd be Dick Vermeil, Buddy Ryan, Andy Reid.
Well, for me, Buddy Ryan, and he was a little bit before my time, so I don't know too much about him, so I won't speak for very long. But what I will say, the things that I did see about him, first off, you don't say defense unless you think about the Ryan brothers, and that stems from their dad. So I think that speaks volumes. His legacy has stayed in the NFL. The tradition of the game, the tradition of hard-nosed defense started with the Ryans, and I just think that, he will be very missed in the NFL.
Yeah.
I got to watch the 30 for 30 about the 85 Bears, and the section of the part where Mike Singletary was there talking with Buddy Ryan, and just to see how frail he was at that time of the interview. But, looking at, watching the whole 30 for 30, how tough as nails this guy was. And I love one of his this guy could quote for days. And one of my favorite quotes from Buddy Ryan was, "QBs are overpaid, overrated, pompous bastards, and must be punished." That's what I want. That's what I want out of a defensive coordinator. And what's so special about this guy was when they won the Super Bowl, they didn't hoist up the head coach. They hoisted up him.
Yep.
So that's how special the coach he was.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, just the years of him. And like I said, I was very young when he was in Philadelphia, so I didn't really understand the full concept as I do now and as we do now. But, man, he's an amazing man, and he will be missed in the NFL. So, but yeah, our condolences to both of them. With that, we are going to go with the NFL because, as we do every Saturday here on NFL, we're getting you ready on a whole nother level. We're getting you ready for the NFL. I'm still choked up. Give me a second. I'll get my thoughts back together.
Do you want to take a quick break to get yourself together? You okay?
We are good. We are moving. Tito, give me a tissue. We are keeping going with the AFC South. We've done 4 divisions so far. We've got 4 more to go. Craig actually reminded me, and I actually saw it while I was on vacation, Andrew Luck signing this deal.
Got paid, son.
Got paid till, what was it, 2020 or 2021?
Nickels and dimes compared to the NBA.
Wow.
But,
Yeah.
needless to say, he is now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
$87 million.
Congrats to Andrew Luck, coming off of an injury-prone year for him and, and something that he really wants to rebound from and show that wasn't the Andrew Luck that they drafted. But, big ups to Jim Irsay and the Colts family for believing in Andrew Luck and giving him, in my opinion, the rightly deserved. When you look around the NFL and the Kirk Cousins and things like that are getting paid, Andrew Luck is in that conversation as a top-tier quarterback, and I think he deserves to be compensated for it.
Wow. All right, so with that, we are going to dive into the AFC South, and we are going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. We've already touched on it. Let me ask you guys this question. Do the Colts really need a running back?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes, they do.
Because I just see Andrew Luck as the guy who is going to sling that ball down the field 30, 40, 50, 60 yards at any given time. And as long as he has a slot and 2 solid wide receivers, I won't say good, I won't say great, just solid, I think they'll be fine.
Well, other than the fact that they need a running back, because look what happened last year. Your quarterback goes down, and you're pretty much relying on who?
Matt Hasselbeck. But he stepped up.
Yeah.
Listen, a 40-year-old guy? Tell me when you're 40, you're going to be able to play like...
Yeah, but your backfield now is Frank Gore and Robert Turbin. Frank Gore's been declining the past few years, and especially when he got traded over to Indianapolis, he's been doing horrible. The first thing they actually need to do is get an offensive line. That's one of the biggest problems right now is offensive line because there's no protection for Andrew Luck.
Okay.
And if you're looking to get a running game going, you need that first because you need an offensive line that creates holes for your running backs to do something.
All right.
So that's the first thing they can do.
Okay. So, well, let's go down the list here, and I want to see you gentlemen. I want to hear from you gentlemen what you think, and we will go. I'll run down my list for you. I had a little time today getting everything set up because I was, back in the building early. So I have them, the Indianapolis Colts, with a 10-6 record. Division record, though, only really being 2-4, but them winning the division. I have their losses at the Broncos, Jaguars, at the Texans, Titans, Steelers, and the last game against the Jaguars. I have the Jaguars beating them twice this year, and you'll find out why as we go on. But I still have them winning the division at 10-6. I feel like Andrew Luck, as Craig said, this man is going to rebound himself. I feel like he has a lot to prove. And I think if anybody has the ability to not, shall we say, slump, to kind of pick themselves back up, dust off, and move forward, I'll give credit to him. So I have them at 10-6. With that, I defer to you, gentlemen.
Last year this time, most of us was saying that the Indianapolis Colts would have won the AFC South outright. But, that didn't – that obviously didn't happen. Houston kind of won by default.
Yeah.
But, this time around with Andrew Luck getting that contract, I think, they step it up a little bit. I say they go 10-6.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with both of you gentlemen. I'm going to go on the flip side of that. They go 6-10.
Wow. So, okay.
Their defense was, I think, in the bottom half of the 20s last year with your passing and your defense. Your offense was beyond terrible. And I know Andrew Luck went down, and you had to deal with Matt Hasselbeck, and your running game wasn't so strong. I know he's got a lot to prove because he's got the big contract that just came in. But the upgrades they needed to do, they didn't really do in the offseason. I do not see them I do see them improving from last year, but not that much. I see them going 6-10.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So you guys have 10-6, 10-6, and 6-10. When I look at the landscape of the South, I think all the other teams around the Colts are getting better.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why the Colts are going to struggle a little bit this year. Marcus Mariota in his second year, and he got some more weapons behind him. We'll talk about it in a second here when we cover them, but obviously DeMarco Murray went there. They got some other pieces in place, and they're continuing to build that offensive line in Tennessee. Jacksonville is just getting way better. People are actually wanting to go to Jacksonville. Free agents are wanting to go there. They've done a good job of developing talent in the draft. Blake Bortles has shown that he's going to be the quarterback for them moving forward in the future, and he's not that one-year bust or whatnot. And then I also think the Houston Texans getting Brock Osweiler, huge. And I think that, they didn't have a quarterback last year, and they still did pretty damn well. So I think that they're going to – honestly, I think they're going to win the division. Maybe Jacksonville. So I think when I look at everything, and I like what you did there, Eric, as far as giving away losses already. But, when I'm looking – you missed on them. You think they're going to win at Green Bay? Because I don't. At the Jets, I think that's a really tough game late in the season. At the Raiders, very tough game. I think they're going to be much improved, believe it or not. Then you got to play everyone in your division twice. So I see them finishing above 500, but barely. I got them at 9-7, and I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to make the playoffs. And I actually don't think it is.
Craig,
I don't see it either.
You got Houston winning the division or Jacksonville?
I'm going back and forth on that right now. But with that said, I think two teams have viable opportunities to make the playoffs in this division, and I'm not considering that to be the Indianapolis Colts.
Because I'm going with Houston. I'm going Houston that wins the division. I see them going 12-4.
See, I did that last year. I picked Houston to win the division last year, and it bit me in the ass.
But they didn't have a quarterback last year. Now they do.
This is true. But I still think that Andrew Luck.
But you were right. They did win the division, didn't they?
Houston
won it.
Yeah.
Yeah, barely.
Barely.
Yeah, barely.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
by
one
so they
game.
won.
Yeah.
They won, but it was a barely. I looked at them as they were actually going to rebound because I'm looking at, and I constantly go back to, you've got arguably the best defensive player. Well, he was J.J. Watt. Then you had Jadeveon Clowney, who I still is a bust.
Yeah, it's
and
a
I'm
joke.
like, it's
I
a
agree
joke.
with that. Yeah, he hasn't really done
But
much.
you added Vince Wilfork from the Patriots. So I thought just alone, J.J. Watt and Vince Wilfork could beef up that defense to where they would stop a lot of offenses and they would run away with this division.
Yeah, but their main problem was the quarterback last year.
I agree.
They have no quarterback. Now, and they added Cecil Shorts to complement DeAndre Hopkins. So they've got offensive.
Lamar Miller is a running game now?
Yeah, so they have a running game now, and now they have they've got another receiver that complements DeAndre Hopkins. And I know, of course, Brock Osweiler is kind of a question mark right now. But, I just see Houston taking that division, man. That defense is so good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's keep it going. We've got the Tennessee Titans next, since Craig talked about him with Mariota, his second year in the league. And like he said, Ken Wisenhunt brought in, not Ken Wisenhunt, I'm sorry. They brought in some weapons, one of those being Marcus Mariota.
DeMarco Murray. You have some of the young receivers over there that are going to be in their second year.
Yeah.
The Justin Hunters of the world and things like that.
Justin Hunter may have to earn his spot, though. He may have to earn his roster spot. I'm serious.
True.
I mean, he's motivated because this is a contract year, I'm sure. But I think he is going to have to earn his spot. Now, I did hear that Mariota said that he's ready to make 40 handoffs a game if it leads to them winning.
Well, if they use DeMarco Murray correctly, then we've seen what he can do when behind a good offensive line. And one thing that I'll say about Tennessee, they've actually started building the trenches. They got their quarterback, and then they started building the offensive line. And that's what you need to do.
Yeah, you're right.
It always starts in the trenches, whether it be on offense or defense.
Okay.
That's why cornerbacks are so successful. Not because they're that great, it's because there's pressure on the quarterback, and that forces them to make bad decisions.
Yeah.
So when I look at Tennessee, I see an improvement. I like the way Marcus Mariota played last year. Yeah, he got a little banged up. I think he sprained his MCL a couple of times. So they need to keep him upright, and he does have the tendency to get out of the pocket and try to make plays with his feet as well. When I look at their schedule here, I see the Lions, the Dolphins, the Browns. You don't know what the Chargers are going to be like. We just talked about the Colts kind of having a little bit of a down year. At least me and Elle think so. The Bears, I don't know what they're going to give me this year. So I think that this schedule is kind of respectable for Tennessee. I don't see them making the playoffs, but I see them going 8-8, and I think that's an improvement, and that's what you want to see is constant improvement when you have bringing in the young quarterback and the young regime over there. So I say 8-8 for the Tennessee Titans.
Craig, I'm going with you as well. I see improvement on this team. They've made some really good offensive upgrades. Their defense was actually not that bad last year. 18th, I think they were ranked 8th in the run, I think, last year for their defense. So I see an improvement. I don't see them going 8-8. I see them going 5-11.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Lindo, what you got for the Tennessee Titans?
So I'm going down the list here, the amount of wins. I know they'll win at Detroit. I don't see Detroit doing anything. But I have them coming out at 7-9.
Wow.
7-9. So you're kind of near me on that one.
Yeah, but in last place in this particular division.
Oh, all right.
The division's tough.
All right.
This division's going to be competitive this year.
Well, Mr. Lindo and I actually agree. I have them at 7-9 as well. I have them 2-4 as far as division wins. Because, again, I'm looking at this now, from picks that I have made previously with different divisions, I have to kind of attribute that to, okay, I said you were going to lose this game against this team, so I have to keep it consistent. But here are some games that you may find that I say they're going to win. I say they're going to win their first 2 games against the Vikings and the Lions. I think they lose the next 3, Raiders, Texans, and Dolphins, because it's at Miami. And it's one of those games where, honestly, it was a flip a coin game for me. The Browns, I think they'll beat RG3 in Cleveland. They'll lose to the Colts. They'll lose to the Jaguars. They'll beat the Chargers. They'll lose to the Packers. At Indy, mark it on your calendar, November 20th. You heard it here first. I'm saying Tennessee's going to beat Indianapolis in Indianapolis. Bold prediction for me. I think the Bears, because we haven't seen what they'll look like, I think they'll beat the Bears. They'll lose to the Broncos. They'll lose to the Chiefs. I have the Jaguars beating them. They'll split with the Jaguars. And then I have them the last game Houston's coming to Tennessee. They'll lose that game. So I have them at 7-9, but only a 2-4 division record. Again, an improvement, but them not winning the division.
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you see Mariota regressing or progressing this year?
I see Mariota progressing this year
Okay.
because of, the points that Craig made.
He beats the sophomore slump?
Yeah, he has a solid running back now in DeMarco Murray, and you've got an offensive line that will protect him. So for those 2 reasons.
Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen enough from Mariota, and also I'll throw Winston in that conversation because we all know they were drafted together. I've seen enough from both of them to make me make the decision that, you know what, both of them are going to be good quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think both franchises are going to benefit from selecting them 1 and 2 overall.
I agree. And we're doing the NFC South next week, so we'll definitely get into Jameis Winston. Yeah, I know you're happy. All right, with that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll do our final 2 divisions. That'll be the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Houston Texans. Again, you're listening to us, Whole Nother Level. Phone lines are open, 941-358-5701 on the Frisco Fades phone line. We'll be right back.
Whole Nother Level, Saturdays, 1 to 3 Eastern. They should have been a number 1 seed. I'm sorry.
I think so, too.
Michigan State should have been. Oh, really? Now you want to come on board with the Big Ten.
They got a good draw.
Talking about getting a good seed.
Well, no, I'm talking about Big Ten football. I was talking about Big Ten football. So, I want to be specific here. Completely different.
Only on STLRmedia.com.
All right, and welcome back to Whole Nother Level. Keeping the show going, we are going to jump right back into the AFC South with my sleeper team. They've been my sleeper team for several years now. I hope this year they can get over the hump and get to the postseason. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jayville in the house.
Jayville, definitely. Blake Bortles. That whole squad, young guys who just need that little extra push, that little extra momentum just to get them over the hump. Because I think once Jacksonville starts making it to the postseason and they realize what life can be like, I'm telling you, they are going to be a serious force. So with that, feel free, whoever wants to chime in. Jacksonville Jaguars, what do you got?
Jacksonville is actually my upset special week 1 to beat Green Bay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
And mark it on the calendar.
That's it. Mark it down.
September
I'll get
11th.
up first.
All right.
I like what they did at the running back position. They brought in Chris Ivory.
Yeah.
I think that he's a perfect 1-2 punch to go ahead with TJ Yeldon on that roster. They locked up, I believe, their other receiver. They have Robinson right there, and then they also have what's his name? Oh man. Just slipped me.
Denard Robinson.
No, he said the other guy.
The receivers for Jacksonville. You have I don't know why it just flipped. I'll think about it in a second.
You've got
no.
Evans, Green.
No.
Allen Robinson, Marquise Lee. Of course, you got Julius Thomas. Hopefully, he rebounds from last season.
Yeah, I mean, Allen Robinson, obviously. And Allen Hurns is what I was saying. They gave Allen Hurns, I believe, the contract. You had the Allen and Allen combination. They've been playing really well together, and then I think you have the continued development of Rashad Green from Florida State. I really like what they're doing there. Their defense is getting improvement every year, and I like what Blake Bortles is doing. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to go 10-6 this year, and I think that is going to be good enough for a tie in the first place in this division, because I'll talk about Houston in a second. I think they're both going to be 10-6. And then we're going to see who has the better head-to-head or better conference record to see who gets that division nod. But I think 10-6, and that's going to be very, very good for Jacksonville this year. And I think it might put them in the spot to make the playoffs. With
the addition of Jalen Ramsey and Miles Jack on their defense, I see them improving. The one thing they need to do is make sure Blake Bortles isn't throwing so many interceptions like he did last year. I mean, he's putting up crazy points in fantasy. Thank you very much. I do see them going 8-8. Maybe slipping into the wild card, but they are a sleeper team. They're just getting better and better each year. So I do like Jacksonville this year. They do have a tough schedule, but I think 8-8 is what I got for them.
Yeah, I have 8-8 for the Jacksonville Jaguars as well. I don't think they'll slip into a wild card. I don't see them slipping into a wild card at 8-8. I obviously don't have them winning the division, but they will make improvements from what they did last year, just winning 5 games, going 5-11 last year. So
it's crazy how people want to play for Jacksonville. They want to come to Jacksonville
because they see the potential.
Exactly,
they see what's there.
And there's a badass pool in the stadium where a lot of hot girls go, and their jumbotron's pretty big as well.
That's funny. Yeah, they have a swimming pool, right?
Swimming pool, it's a huge swimming pool. Yeah, yeah.
So you need to go down there and check that out.
Well, just Jacksonville is just not really a nice-looking market, if you will.
No, it's a dump of a town.
Right,
It's depressing. There's just bowling alleys everywhere, and that's pretty much it.
Well, there is good.
What's wrong with bowling alleys?
Nothing. I'm just saying there's a bowling alley.
I was like,
you got the Jacksonville Stadium, and then you got bowling alleys.
That's fine by me.
And the Bank of America.
And then on top of that, you have a lot of University of Florida grads that live in the city of Jacksonville. So I don't know. It depends. If you're a Gator, it works out well, and a lot of good-looking women there too. So
Give it to Shad Khan for taking the team over and progressively getting better every year.
Listen, I like Gus Bradley as a coach. I think between him and Blake Bortles, I think what they've done together, I think is going to be great for that city, great for that organization. So
there was talk for the last few years that this team might have been the team on the move to an LA, might have been on the move to another organization. Is possible. I mean, they're talking about Las Vegas. I think that the Raiders are now looking possibly to move to Las Vegas.
Yes,
but I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have done enough to keep them in Jacksonville, which is great for the state of Florida.
It's awesome for the state of Florida. So I say they go 9-7. However, I give them a nod this year and say they go 5-1 in their division.
That's huge.
Ooh, that is
huge. 5-1 in their division, because I think that's what's going to be the difference maker for this team. I think if they can at least get themselves out from underneath the Indianapolis umbrella of this is the AFC South is Indianapolis Colts and then everybody else. I think this is where, that the Jacksonville Jaguars turn the page. Now, I don't have them winning the division because I feel like they need another year to kind of just get out from underneath it. However, I like what both Evan and Craig said, that, it might be enough. It just might be enough to get them there. Craig's having them at 10-6, ultimately winning the division, which I'm totally fine with. What I'm looking at is, though, look at the last 3 games of the Jacksonville Jaguars, all division games.
It's going to make or break them right there. Yeah.
Right. I think at that point we will know where they're at. So I have them at 9-7, but I do have them 5-1 in the division. So if a 9-7 team can get in, I'm going to give Jacksonville that nod and say with their division record, that's going to be the reason. I think they slide in at a wild card spot at the number 6
So you're
spot.
giving them the nod right now at the
Yeah.
And I was looking at the teams that I possibly might have at a wild card position right now. I look at teams like the Chiefs.
Right.
I look at teams like the Jets, but I don't know who their quarterback is. I look at a team like the Bengals because I think I have Pittsburgh probably winning that division. The Ravens, I think they're going to have a huge bounce back year. They just had so many injuries last year. That's not the traditional Ravens team we're going to see.
Exactly.
So I see them being in contention, and then the Jags and the Raiders too. So
yeah,
I mean, there's about 6 to 8 teams right now that you can kind of put in that conversation, and I think the Jaguars are in that conversation.
And we will definitely dig more into it as time goes on. And like I said a few weeks ago, we reserve the right to change our picks right before the season
Until
starts.
the season starts, it's all up for grabs. Absolutely.
Right. The last team, gentlemen, we're going to talk about today here on Whole Nother Level is the Houston Texans with their new quarterback, the $72 million Brock Osweiler, coming over from Denver with a championship ring, mind you. First year at Houston, Brock Osweiler is 6'9". I mean, he's a rail for a guy, but can launch that ball like it's nobody's business. So they open up against the Bears. Then they've got the Chiefs, the Patriots, Titans, Vikings, Colts, Broncos, Lions before their bye. Second half of the season, Jaguars, Raiders, Chargers, Packers, Colts, Jaguars again, Bengals, and they finish up with the Titans. To me, first look, Brock Osweiler on a team, I can't be positive with their record only because I need to see more from that defense. That is my biggest question mark, not Brock Osweiler this year. My biggest question mark for the Houston Texans is your defense is supposed to be the defense in the NFL, and I have seen nothing but mediocrity from you. I appreciate all the love and the heart that J.J. Watt has for this team, but you're one man. You need to rally this team behind you. Vince Wilfork, you have come from an organization that is synonymous with Super Bowl championships. You can't bring that veteran experience to this defense and make them relevant. And then my trifecta, my hat trick. The number 1 pick in the draft several years ago, you were supposed to be the next, and you are the bust in Jadeveon Clowney. I mean, you're a clown. Your last name says it all. I'm serious. Your last name says it all. Drop the EY. You just Jadeveon Clown. Because that's what you're doing. You're stealing money from the NFL, bruh. And I'm sorry. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how tough you may think you are. But apparently, you don't have enough heart in you to go out there and produce like everybody has expected you to do.
Right? He took that year off at South Carolina. And I say year off because he actually played, but he took the year off.
Right.
Because he was scared about getting injured. And then got injured anyways, and then continues to just take years off.
Right.
That's what it seems like to me.
So if there's one person, and we always have a list of guys that need to give money back to the NFL, which the NFL don't need it, but he should be on that list as well.
Eric, I'm really surprised you don't have more trust in Bill O'Brien. Come from Pennsylvania.
Listen, I love what Bill O'Brien has done.
If you're Bill O'Brien, you can take your team last year with the quarterbacks of Brian Hoyer and Brandon Whedon. Come on now.
Listen.
Hey, don't forget Ryan Mallett. He was in there for a couple of games.
Listen, you know what I always say?
There was one more, actually. Were there 4 quarterbacks?
There were 4.
I mean, we were talking
so many
about that
quarterbacks
last
on
year.
that roster last year.
Carousel.
Listen, if there's one thing you've always heard me say, a dead clock is right. A broke clock is right twice a day. Sometimes it's better to be lucky rather than good. They barely slid in. But barely got them into the playoffs. Whatever.
A broke clock is right twice a day. That's the first time I've heard that one, but that's a good one. I'm gonna have
That's
to
what
use
it
that.
is. A
Yeah.
broke clock is right twice a day.
And it's true.
I like this. I've always liked the Houston Texans because they're explosive on the offensive side.
Yeah, but the defensive side is like you need. I'm sorry. If you're going to call J.J. Watt the number 1 defensive guy in the NFL, should he not be a part of at the very least, the defense should be in the top 10?
They were last year.
Well, where did they finish?
Defense was 3rd in passing, 3rd in yards per game, and 10th in rush. That's not top 10? I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, their record wasn't stellar. But
No, because they had no offense. They had no quarterback leading the
Right.
way. That's why.
All right. Well, for that reason, I'm basing it on last year, but I've given them a 7-9 record, and they split the division 3-3.
I'm going 12-4. They win the division.
Wow.
12-4.
Sounds like me last year. Seriously, I'm like, no, Houston Texans going to do it all. Jacksonville going to slide. Okay, 12-4.
Like I said before, I know the question mark is Brock Osweiler, but I have faith in Bill O'Brien.
All right.
I have faith.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think the Houston Texans, and I just said this in the last segment, that they're going to tie with the Jacksonville Jaguars at 10-6. Because when I look at their schedule, I think it's pretty difficult. You go at the Patriots, at the Vikings, at the Broncos. We talked about how improved we think both the Jaguars and Raiders are going to be. They're at both of those teams, at the Packers, at the Colts. So I think that and then they're also home to teams like the Bengals. You know, teams like they have to play the Colts obviously twice this year, the Chiefs. So I think that Brock Osweiler is going to get tested.
Right.
One thing that I do like is I think that he has the arm to go downfield and meet DeAndre Hopkins. So I think that DeAndre Hopkins is really going to have a breakout year. He had a breakout year last year with mediocre quarterbacks.
And with the addition of Cecil Shorts, it takes a little bit of pressure off of him, too, because they're not going to be covering him so much.
Very true. And you got Lamar Miller in the backfield. And if anybody knows how Lamar Miller can progress in that offense, they faced him last year, the Dolphins, and he ran for over 200 yards against Houston. So they saw that, and they're like, okay, if he can do that, getting minimal carries, because the Dolphins really didn't give him too much from game to game, I think that he's just going to improve over there. He could be 100-yard back per game over there with Houston if they utilize him right. So, yeah, I see them going 10-6 and competing with Jacksonville to win that division. I definitely see one, if not two teams making the playoffs in this division.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Mr. Lindo?
Yeah, I mean, I have them going not 10-6, one game short, 9-7. I don't see them getting a wild card at all. Obviously, I have Indianapolis winning the division, but they've made some changes. Brock Osweiler, obviously a key component of this squad, but I don't see them winning. I definitely see Indianapolis taking this division.
It's interesting that you say that too about Indianapolis, because let's not forget last year a lot of pundits were picking them to go to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, one bad year. Andrew Luck was injured all year. Yeah, their offensive line didn't show like they were doing very well, and their defense needed improvement. But with a healthy Andrew Luck back, you would almost expect them to be back in contention. And you know what? I hope you're right for NFL purposes, fan base purposes. I think that when Indy's good, when Andrew Luck's firing on all cylinders, it's good for the league. I just think that their division's improving, so I'm not sure if they're ready to step it up. But I do have, overall I have 10-6, 10-6, 9-7, and 8-8. So I think it's going to be a very, very close race, and a game or two could decide who wins the division.
Correct, and I totally agree with that. This division is going to be close.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I've got them at 10-6, 9-7, 10-6 for Indy, 9-7 for Jacksonville, and then I got 2 7-9s for Houston and Tennessee. So, they're going to beat up on each other. They're all going to be tested. I will say whoever comes out of this division, I think is going to be successful in the postseason.
Not an easy out is what you're saying, right?
No.
Okay.
No. But I will say whoever makes it, should they make it to the AFC Championship game, I will give them the respect and say, you know what? You earned the right to be here because of what you went through throughout the regular season and then again in the postseason. I will at least give them that respect.
Excellent.
With that, gentlemen, anything else before we get out of here today? Anybody think I might want to talk about? Evan, are you okay with the Rays?
I was just about to say something about the Rays, but I'll let E-Dub handle that.
All right, so I announced it on my show last night. Okay, after the performances that were happening a couple days ago, especially the collapse with the bullpen on Thursday night, I'm done.
You're done with the Rays?
I figured.
I am done.
Wow.
I've stamped it. I announced it last night on my show. I'm done. I'm so waiting for football right now. I'm done with the Rays.
It's funny. If I weren't such a Yankees fan, I'd really – you're the first person I thought of. You and a couple other people I thought of during the collapse. What's going on with that bullpen?
I have –
Do you want a minute to vent? Because this is what we do. You can vent. Seriously, the floor is yours, bruh.
And I thought I was going to get fired up about this, but I'm not anymore because with the way this season has gone, nothing surprises me anymore. And I know, injuries have been plaguing them all season. They're getting a bunch of guys back, but the bullpen has just been nothing but terrible. Their starting rotation is terrible. They tried the upgrades on offense have been nice, but it's just the organization has been based on pitching. Okay, ever since they went to the Rays, pitching has been their number one thing, and right now it's just terrible. So I'm done. I can't do this anymore, okay? They're 13 games out.
Right.
I know they had we're not going to sell. We're not going to do a fire sale. They need to do something, and they need to maybe let go of a couple of their frontline starters who I don't know, their value right now is really bad. And the moves Kevin Cash has made Thursday night. Okay, you have Matt Andriese coming in, taking over for Odorizzi, who did a nice job the other night. Okay, he pitched 5 1/3, gave up I think 1 or 2 runs. You bring him in, you bring Matt Andriese, you pull him after 27 pitches. Okay, this guy was throwing a couple scoreless innings. You pull him after 27. 27 pitches. Why? This guy used to start games for you. You can have him for the rest of the game. Okay, and then you bring in Matt, I don't even know his name, Matt Garton, okay? A guy I've never even heard. They bring him up from AAA. Gives up 4 hits in a row. 4 hits. You load the bases up, and you bring in Erasmo, who has had no rest. Okay, and you give up a single, 7-6, and then you walk the tying run in. Still doesn't pull him, and then you give up a bases clearing double, and then the game's pretty much over. So I'm done. I'm done.
All right.
I'm done. I don't know what they need to do.
Hey, you guys took the series from the Red Sox.
I know. It's surprising.
Yeah. But it's not even surprising. We have no pitching at all.
That is true, too.
David Price got paid, and then he's on vacation. He's been on vacation since the season started.
Craig, when you can put
Buchholz, we had to put him back. He's starting tonight. We had to put him back in the starting lineup after he got exiled from the damn bullpen.
Do you want to
Because that's how bad he was.
Do you want to give David Price back? Because he's been terrible.
I'm in awe about what's going on.
You're on the same level as me.
I'm in awe. I mean, granted, our bats have been awesome this season.
Right.
But now they're talking about trading either Xander Bogaerts, Jackie Bradley Jr.
There's been a rumor that Farrell might get fired at the end of the season, too.
I mean, if he can't do anything with the lineup and the money we're spending, then bye. I've seen enough from you. Bye. Bring someone in that can do the job. But if we don't make a move for a pitcher at the All-Star break, and I'm saying making the move with keeping our core. Don't trade Bogaerts. Do not trade Jackie Bradley Jr. And do not trade Mookie Betts.
You guys have a really good farm system, so you could give up a few prospects for an arm.
Well, apparently we dug too deep into the international farm system.
I know.
From what I read. So
slap on the wrist.
We got a little slap on the wrist there.
But no, Derek, I'm done with this team. I know we're about to get at the All-Star break, but
got to make some changes.
The big hole right now, they have to retool everything.
Yeah, but I mean, at this point, and this is what I'm seeing from you, but at this point, it's almost like it's too much, too little, too late. You know, I mean, 13 games out. Well, I mean,
it is too little, too late. I mean, you could pull a fire sale right now and get some prospects and maybe get a star or two that's maybe on the trading block right now, but it is too little. And to be honest with you, that whole division with the Yankees, the Rays, the Blue Jays, who I've been surprised about, who've actually been doing pretty well, and then the Red Sox and the Orioles.
The Orioles are in first right
so,
now.
I don't know what, and the Yankees have been wanting to trade people too, so they've got to go younger. The Yankees are too old. They got to.
Well, that's something.
They got to somehow kick A-Rod out. A-Rod's just eating up so much of your money.
Right, and I think at some point, I'm thinking possibly after the All-Star break, maybe we might bring a few young guys in from AAA. But
well, you're looking to try and trade for Kyle Schwarber from the Cubs. So you're going to give away Shelby Miller and get Kyle Schwarber, who's a really good catcher. Okay, right. But the Yankees got to go younger. Red Sox got to make a trade for a starting pitcher.
Have to. Yeah.
Baltimore. They're okay. They might need to add maybe a reliever and a starting pitcher, but then Toronto, they're sneaky because they've been on fire, but their pitching's been terrible too. So
the Rays need to call the Indians and see what they're doing over there because they're on a hot streak. That's an understatement.
I know, right? But
that's
nuts. I announced it last night. I'm done with the Rays. I'm waiting for football.
You know, the only team in the AL East right now that is on a win streak is Boston, and it's one. And it's one
game.
Baltimore's lost the last.
That's pretty much
two.
what we're doing. 1-1.
Toronto's the last 2. Yankees have lost one of their last. They're a 1-game losing streak, and the Rays are a 2-game losing streak. I just have to ask the question because you know what? Listen to me.
Please do it because I can go on and on about this.
Coming from the NL East, where the only thing I can say that I have a leg to stand on is the Philadelphia Phillies are better than the Atlanta Braves, which thank Jesus or whoever. I have nothing when it comes to baseball because the Philadelphia Phillies are an atrocity this year. We are 13 games behind the Nationals. People say the Phillies. I'm like, yeah, next season. When does football start? Seriously. I mean, that's where I'm at. At least you three gentlemen can complain to each other because y'all listen to each other. But I have to ask the question sometimes because, listen, the Rays are here. And we've continually said what needs to be done. They need to fix it. Now, as far as the Bostons of the world and the Yankees of the world, you know what? You guys have been a part of history since the inception. So I look at a young team that's going on, 20, 21 years with the Rays?
Oh, yeah, 20 years.
Almost 20 years with the Rays. Mm-hmm. They've had one trip to the World Series in that time frame. And since then, I hate to say it, but it's been all about one man. The minute Joe Madden left, Tampa Bay Rays just went straight to the toilet.
And everybody was calling for his decision making too.
Right.
So there you go. Be careful what you wish for.
But then you look at the Cubs and you're like, look what they're doing. You know,
because there's an actual culture in that locker room. He brought whatever he did in Tampa to Chicago,
right?
Because Chicago didn't have anything like that.
Exactly. So.
And you listen to the interviews of what players are saying, how Cash shouldn't be on the block. It's not his fault. And granted, he's been losing with nothing. He has really not had a good set of players right now because of injuries right now. So you can put the blame on him because of his decision makings. You can put the blame on the players because the ones he's been having to work with have been terrible. So, but if you're a major league manager, you have to win with what you have to work with. Right. You have to make it work somehow. So, I mean, the structure of his contract was 5 years, and they got him for cheap. So, and nobody really knows the stipulations of his contract, so we don't know if he could be out after this season because they've been atrocious. We don't know. So I just don't know. He might be out by this season's over.
Oh.
If they keep losing the way they've been losing, then he might be out.
Well, time will tell, as we say always here on Whole Nother Level. Dwayne, Craig, anything before we go? No?
I got something.
Go ahead.
Happy 4th of July to everyone. Be safe out there.
Yes.
And public service announcement, let someone else light the damn fireworks. Don't light them in your hand. Do not pull a JPP, especially if you're in a contract year.
Doesn't he have a PSA out now that, just to kind of...
I didn't see it, but I heard he does. All I'm saying, especially if you're in a contract year, let someone else light that for you.
Yeah. I think that's good
advice. If you play professional sports altogether, don't go near fireworks. Just stay in house.
Just watch them.
They
have them on TV.
Yeah, watch them on TV. Don't go near that.
Yes. So, with
happy
that,
40th to you, Eric.
Thank you.
Celebrating tomorrow.
Thank you, gentlemen.
It only comes once a lifetime, so enjoy it, my friend.
Do you get to apply for Social Security yet?
You want to be funny.
I heard there's a hill that you might be over.
Yes.
There's a hill that you might be over now.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So my cousin, who's actually a little bit older than me, Scott, the other day I was grabbing my mail and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, did you get your AARP yet?" I said, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Come on now."
You got that early bird discount.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh?
But no, tomorrow is going to be something special. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there who is coming out to the party. It's going to be good. I actually took a page out of the one and only Craig Cousins playbook. His 30th, they had a obstacle course, which was fun and exciting. And even though it was raining, we still tackled that thing like it was no tomorrow. So
I say we Facebook Live this.
The obstacle course?
It might have to
probably
go up
will be on Facebook Live. Yes.
It has to. Especially when you go through it.
Oh, goodness.
Hold on, I need a minute. You haven't even gotten the obstacle course yet, Eric. I don't care.
With that, for the sports expert, Dwayne Lindo, the great L. Bushman from the Sports Arena, thank you for joining us. And as always, the one, the only, and I miss saying that, Craig Cousin. Can't wait till football season starts. This is E-Dubs, Eric Wilson, and until next week, where I may be in a walker, a wheelchair, handicap, or something, we have taken you to a whole nother level. See you next time.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
Transform and roll out.